And welcome back to coverage here at the new Capenna Championship. Marshall Sutcliffe with Paul Cheon. And we're a good chunk of the way through day 2 here. We've got, of course, World Championship stakes at play here. Lukas Honnay, as you see on the left here with Esper Midrange, is on a 7-3 record against Andy Ferguson, who's on Jund Midrange. As we see a lot of mid-range decks right now are popular. Lukas is in the challenger race. And if he's able to pick up a win here, that'll let him jump the did not qualifies, the DNQs, the people who are also in that race but aren't playing in this tournament. Because remember, as a challenger, you need to qualify for each and every set championship, and some people didn't. And that means that they're kind of sitting ducks. They have to just sit on their point total and hope it holds, while people like Lukas can hunt them down. And that's exactly what he's trying to do. If he can pick up this win, he will clear himself of that group and put himself ever closer to one of those 8 seats.
Yeah.
Matchup wise, we've seen this a few times now, Paul, right? The Jund is kind of it's represented in the field, we should say. Maybe not one of the most popular decks, but it's up there.
Yeah. I mean, it's just another flavor of mid-range deck that you can choose to play. Now, Andy is playing kind of the more traditional build that you've seen. We have seen Shota have some success with his kind of special version, his own kind of homebrew version of Jund with the token sub theme. But this just means, hey, look, I still recognize the power of Vasika's Chariot. This is the reason to play green, and I'm going to choose to play that card, along with that really powerful sideboard card that you see here in Andy Ferguson's hand in Unleash the Inferno. It does a good amount of work in this matchup, being able to take down a permanent while also being able to eat a wedding announcement or perhaps a Meat Hook Massacre that's in play is quite powerful.
But you're saying no Black Market Tycoons, no Ginny Phase.
Yeah, that's next level. That's level 2 Jund.
Oh, I see. That's next level Jund. Gotcha.
That's Shota Jund, right?
This is a little more straightforward. These decks have a similar game plan in the mid-range removal grindfest type scenario, but they do approach it differently. As you can see, the hand here for Lukas, by the way, I should mention, as we come into the match, Lukas is up a game. This is game number 2, so we are on sideboards. Valky's going to get turned up to a underdog here. Another power, thank you very much. And there's a land and a Denick. Hey, that underdog does fight a lot better against Denick than the Valky did. Yeah,
but in terms of offense, I mean, Andy's hand is a bit anemic here. Feels really bad utilizing an Infernal Grasp or removal spell on a Denick, right?
Yeah, it's built into for one.
So, I mean, he's just kind of playing the hand that he's dealt here, but I mean, after this, there's just not a whole lot else, right? Lukas can play a Wandering Emperor this turn, exile the underdog if he wants. Can just choose to cast Denix out of the graveyard, right?
Yeah. Yeah, he's got good options.
Yeah. He could also exile the underdog. So just all kinds of options, and all of them are very solid here.
He has 2 ways to exile the underdog here.
Right.
And he's going to go for the more mana efficient version here, Wandering Emperor, to take down what was a tenacious underdog. It was actually Valky, God of Lies, so that's going to go away.
Yeah, I mean, and Andy's just got
nothing.
Some removal spells, but I mean, what can he do here? He can Shatter Skull smashing the Emperor down to 1, have a couple of removal spells in hand, but Lukas has a lot of plays here still available to him.
Yeah, killing the Emperor is nice, though. At least he has that option.
Yeah. I imagine Andy's going to look to try to get a little more value with that Unleash the Inferno.
At least he's not facing down a board state, says Andy Ferguson, right? He can take this turn off, but it's not like he's going to take 5 or 6 damage in the interim. He's going to leave a black mana there. I think we saw one of his sideboard cards a little bit earlier already with a Ray of Enfeeblement. He does run 3 in the sideboard, so he could represent that card here. Doesn't have it. All right, there's a little business. Briarbridge Tracker off the top.
Yeah. that's action. Lucas has a couple of answers to that as well with the Iganjo and the Vanishing Verse. And remember, he will be able to utilize Iganjo at a discounted rate with Denik in play. I think maybe deciding whether or not he wants to play the Smashing untapped.
Decided to keep it.
Oh, and look at this little...
This is a nice combo.
Look at this little value engine here.
Wow, that's a beating.
Draw two cards.
Literally. Yeah, he's going to get two cards. Yeah, he'll get a...
He'll get one.
He'll get a clue.
And then he'll get a clue. Yeah.
Yeah, but that's fantastic. I mean, he's just pulling so far ahead now. Oh, wow, and he even hit negate, and he has the mana for it, too? Meat Hook Massacre, Unleash the Inferno, and Shatter Skull smashing in hand here for Ferguson. He's got a very reactive hand. He does have Briarbridge Tracker and a clue of his own, so this is not the final form of his hand necessarily. He's going to get in for 4. Unleash the Inferno could force the issue with the clue. Yes, he could do that too.
Yeah, I mean, I imagine Lucas is just cracking the clue end of turn here anyways.
So you're not getting much extra out of it.
Yeah. I guess you have to decide whether or not, I mean, this Lucas just kind of burying Andy here in card advantage, right? It's all these creatures. Like Andy had to use removal spells to kill the Denix, then the Denix came back. Yes. Then you blitzed in an underdog. You got a clue, you got to draw a card.
Land drops flowing for Lukas Honnay as well. Players are having a heck of a weekend. We should also add they're 7-3 right now. That is, you know, you're thinking top 8, and you got a ways to go here, but only 3 losses this late in the tournament. You do have a shot at it.
Yeah, absolutely.
The Briarbridge Tracker. Go ahead, Paul.
Debating whether or not to cast Unleash or perhaps sacrifice the clue. He's like, all right, this feels bad, but I need to get this flyer off the battlefield.
Ugh, feels terrible. Is it going to get negated? And he says, you know what, fine.
I think Lucas has enough, because he's got another one in the graveyard too, right? I think he's okay with this. But he is at 10 life, so does need to be a little bit careful, but he does have the answer in the Vanishing Verse here if he wants to just get this tracker off the battlefield, run out the Wandering Emperor, and then start putting pressure that way.
He also has an Iganjo Seat of the Empire hiding down there.
Yeah, it'd be a little awkward if he chooses to do that this turn, just because it costs 3 mana and then he can't play out the Wandering Emperor.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, the Emperor just has a hard time against Briarbridge Tracker.
Well, now that he's sacrificed the clue, I mean, he's probably just going to take the 2 here.
Yeah, now it's a much more attainable clock. He cracked the clue pre-combat. That does shrink down the tracker.
Yeah, now an active Planeswalker here with negate backup.
That's going to be tough to beat.
Yeah. Negate plus Vanishing Versa. Put a counter onto your 2/2 if you want. Get in. I mean, Andy's down to 9 already, so I mean, I think Lucas is going to lock this up pretty quickly here.
It does look like this one has hit the tipping point here for Lukas Honnay. He's been ahead the entire game. In the mid-range matchups, you know, 2-for-1s are kind of the name of the game, and he has had way more of them than Andy has.
Yeah. This is going to be a huge win for Lucas, right?
Big time.
Getting to jump the players that are no longer playing in this event means that there is no chance that at least those players can catch him, right? So now he's one step closer to kind of jump a couple of other players who are also not playing. So, you know, he doesn't need that many more match wins to kind of get into that top 8 in the Challenger leaderboard.
Yeah, and also going to 8-3 puts him, you know, setting his sights pretty high for this tournament. Again, we're not quite there, right? We're not at the point where you're going like, Top 8 is right around the corner. He still has a good amount of work to do. And there's the GG. But Lukas Honnay is doing a great job of doing exactly that work.